If you had to invest in an asset class besides real estate, what would you invest into right now?
Other than real estate. So
So no lending.
that cuts out the lending. All right. I I'd go with stocks.
Why stocks? I think of whatever. Maybe it's just what I'm hearing now, but I feel like what would you say? The comfortability or the uncertainty. I feel like a lot of people are uncertain about the stock market. Is that just because they don't follow it like you do?
Well, maybe that's part of it. I'd say people in general. I mean, stocks are hard to understand. When the companies that trade in the stock market, they tend to be very large, very complicated businesses. It's really hard to kind of get your brain around what is the company doing and come to an understanding of what's influencing the stock prices. You can read about some great company that's delivering this great product. One week everybody's enthralled with it. A few weeks later, the stock price is down 30%. How does that work? So, a lot of people don't. That causes a lot of people to be uncomfortable with stocks. But for me, I just look at stocks as owning a piece of a business. So, if a company is generating a good product or service, and it's relevant, it's going to continue to be relevant. The demand for it will be growing over time. That's going to be a profitable company, and if the profits are growing, the value goes up. I don't really care what happens with the price on a day-to-day basis. So, prices move sometimes with no real link to what's going on. People get excited, people get scared. Right now you hear about how the market had a rough week last week because of all the recession fears, right? Well, recessions are part of the business cycle. They happen. We know it's going to happen. Can't say whether it's going to be next year or 5 years from now, but it's going to happen. During our lifetime, we'll see at least another 6 or 7 recessions. It's not an end point, in the game. So, as long as a company's product is going to still be relevant during and after the recession, you really don't have to worry about, well, the recession basically becomes irrelevant if you're a long-term investor.
Knowing that people have the tendency of panicking and getting scared when the fear of something happening hits, like a recession. Is there an issue when everybody's scared and pulls out their money, the people that are sitting in it, what does that look like for them? Is that a tough place to be?
It can be like musical chairs if it gets bad enough. Okay, recent memory, or relatively recent memory, a lot of people are still remembering the financial crisis, 2007, 2008. That's exactly what we saw happen, where everybody gets really worried, and for good reason, and starts pulling their money out of stocks, and whoever got out first got the chair, right? You don't want to be the last one out the door. So a lot of companies actually had liquidity crises that came out of that. In effect, you had the same thing that caused the Great Depression, the run on the banks. So, in a worst case, yeah, that's a really valid concern. That's really not normal. That was by far the worst financial crisis we've had, certainly during our lifetime, and one of the worst that we've had, in history. So, that's not a typical recession. A typical recession, people get scared, they pull their money out, but there's an old saying, a recession is a time when assets return to their rightful owners. So all those people who are running scared, are selling to somebody, at lower prices. And so, in our case, we don't try and time that, because, like I said, we know the recession's going to happen, but we have no idea when. And so, between now and when those people start running scared, for all I know, we're going to see stocks double again before we see that actually happen. So I don't want to make a bet on that. So just stay invested, and when that time happens, you do have investments in other things. You can sell the things that are doing relatively well, buy some more of the things that aren't doing as well, and take advantage of that scenario.